Directors Osborne, Veerkamp, Anzini, and Dwyer present. Director Day absent. General Manager Abercrombie and General Counsel Polson, and Acting Clerk to the Board Costa present.
Okay, been moved by Director Veerkamp, seconded by,
Somebody.
yes, Director Dwyer to adopt the agenda. Anybody from the public wants to speak against or for this? And enter Director Day. You will be marked for attendance.
Would you go to a ball game or something, or what did you do?
So if there's any members of the public who want to speak regarding the adoption of the agenda, this is your moment. Anybody online?
There does not appear to be anyone raising their hand to speak. We can vote on the adoption of the agenda.
Yes. Go ahead, board members, and vote.
Divisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, voting aye, motion carries.
Communications. I've got this on. Okay, communications.
Good morning. I have one recognition I'd like to do. As you know, Rodenko, last day was Friday, and I'm pleased to announce Patrick Wilson, who's in the audience with a tie on, as the new drinking water manager. So Patrick, congratulations.
All right.
And that's the end of my communications report.
Okay. We've reached the part of the agenda for public comment. This is the opportunity to speak on any items that are not on the agenda. Anybody in the audience wish to speak, go to the microphone. Anybody online who would like to speak?
Director Anzini, there does not appear to be anyone online wishing to speak.
Okay, we'll end public comment. Communications, General Manager.
None today?
None for me.
None for the Clerk of the Board. Board of Directors, yes, Director Osborne.
Last Tuesday night, he did a presentation to the Ag Commission on our water supply and how things are doing and how we're managing our resources for potential drought next year. Well, very well received. There was a big discussion about growing hemp there, which is going to be an interesting discussion with the Board of Supervisors. But at any rate, was well received, and they appreciated the time.
Okay. Director Dwyer.
Thank you. I did receive a communication from a former constituent who lives in Blackstone, which is now in Director Anzini's district. But I met this gentleman a few years ago and talked with him, and he had sent an email that I'd like to read. It's concerning our general manager, and he's of course too shy to read it himself, so I'm going to go ahead and read it. It's from Christopher Beach in El Dorado Hills, and he says, "Please excuse my tardiness with this email. I've been meaning to write you for months. I just wanted to commend you on your overall management of EID, your communication skills, and your transparency with your customers. I particularly enjoy reading about updates on repairs on the department's infrastructure and facilities in the wake of damage caused by the Caldor fire last year. Whether it's in Village Life newspaper, local Nextdoor blog, you do a remarkable job of keeping us informed. I admire your positive, upbeat attitude as well as pointing out the dedication of EID employees, your focus on their safety, and the fact that projects are completed ahead of schedule and under budget. In this day and age, That is great news. As a retired public servant of 40 years, I can appreciate your responsibilities and challenges while never forgetting who the end customer is. Thank you for your dedication and efforts. Sincerely, Christopher Beach. So, thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. That will be on the next agenda in my performance review.
Let me shake out that file folder I have.
I better be quiet.
No, very good that when we receive information from our customers, staff is just delighted to receive the kudos as well as our management. So thank you very much, Mr. Beach, for sending us that information. Any other reports?
Madam
Yes.
Chair, LAFCO met just after our meeting last time around, and we made a employment offer for executive officer. The ad hoc committee was to negotiate, and we'll know if we have a contract or not tomorrow night and Wednesday night, all over the map. On that, and then I attended the Diamond Springs El Dorado Advisory Committee meeting last week, and a major topic was Dorado Oaks. And there was obviously a lot of opposition there, and they've got a lot to figure out. The traffic circulation is probably the biggest element. Right now, currently Pleasant Valley Road's at service level F, so there can't be any project moving forward over in that area until they get that traffic, which is the Parkway, completed. And they're anticipating 2024 for that Parkway construction to start, so that means that no project would move forward before then. So anyway, that's that at this point.
Thank you. Director Day, nothing? Okay. We'll move on to approve the consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any board member or someone from the public wants to pull?
Ma'am.
Nothing? I need a motion.
I'll move it for approval.
Okay, been motioned by Director Veerkamp, seconded by Director Dwyer for approval.
Day.
Oh, Day. The hearing, I'm sorry. Yes, Director Day, he is in attendance. Okay, so there has been a motion. This is an opportunity for board members to vote if nobody's coming forward.
President Anzini, it does not appear that there's any members of the public wishing to make a comment regarding the consent calendar. We are ready to vote.
Okay, thank you.
Director Veerkamp, did you vote?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Divisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, voting aye. Motion carries unanimously.
All right. Move on to the next item. Where'd it go? Good grief. Must be my agenda items here. Where's the action? Yeah, it was a heavy consent calendar. Oh. Here's my action items. All right. Okay, so item number 11. We
Move
have-
one.
Okay.
Second.
All right, been motion and second to approve action item number 11 on finance. Any members, any comments from the public? Information, additional information?
There does not appear to be any members of the public wishing to make a comment.
Okay. All right, board members vote.
Divisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, voting aye. Motion carries unanimously.
All right, we'll move on to item number 12. That's engineering. Welcome to the podium.
consideration of construction contract award and related services and project funding. There we go. All right. Previous board actions, January 11th, 2021, the board authorized a contract to MGE Engineering for the design of Flume 45 abutment section. You also authorized capitalized funding for capitalized labor and environmental studies for a total funding authorization of just over $500,000. This project is also included in the current CIP, which is brought to the board November 8th, 2021. Summary of issues. So before I get to the details on this project, I just wanted to give the board and the audience some perspective of how much work has been done with or with the flume since 2001. Since that time, we have replaced just over 5,500 length feet of wooden flume and converted those flumes to either concrete flumes or concrete canal. And most of that work has been done within the last decade. So there's been a lot of effort by this board, staff, and previous boards in converting those wooden facilities to facilities that will withstand 100 years. They have a 100-year life and withstand wildfires. So thank you for your investment in our facilities. We still have a ways to go, though. We have about 8,000 feet of wooden flumes remaining within our Project 184. I wish it was 800. In our Project 184 delivery system. Those are kind of spread throughout the delivery system, which you know provides hydropower generation revenue for the district. And it also provides a third of our water supplies, thank you, to our customers. So within that 8,000 feet, there are three main sections of flumes that comprise most of that total. The first is Flume 45, which we're here to talk about today. That wooden flume section is just over 1,900 feet long. Flume 46 is just over 3,300 feet long. And Flume 48 is about 450 feet long. We'll be working on the design for Flume 45 Section 3 this summer. We have been working on the design for Flume 48 these past few months. And we have also applied for hazard mitigation grants for both Flumes 46 and 48. And we hope to hear from a response from those grants this fall. So we've done a lot, but we still have a lot to do. All of those flumes are within the current CIP as well. So back to this current project.
Are they all priority one?
Yes. Or sorry, they're all priority 2, Director Dwyer. Yeah. Priority 1s are current CIP projects that are in construction. Yeah. So back to this project, Flume 48 abutment section is a wooden flume section that's beyond its useful life. It was constructed in 1948. It's been relined twice, which is the maximum amount of relinings that we can do before we exceed the structural capacity of that flume section. We're asking you to approve a contract for construction services to Sierra Mountain Construction Incorporated. They have done work previously for the district. They completed the phase 3 of the town center force main a few years ago and did a great job. They've also done flume work for Merced Irrigation District. We are also asking to approve a contract for construction engineering services to MGE Engineering, which is the engineer of record for this project. Next slide, please. So background, as I stated, this Flume 45, the total length is a 1,900-foot long flume. And it's divided into 3 sections. The section 1, which is the upstream section, is approximately 900 feet long. The downstream section, section 3, is just over 900 feet long, and it was constructed in 1993. Again, we'll be asking you to consider a design contract at the next board meeting next month. Most of this flume section rests on a historic rock wall that was constructed in the 1870s, if you can believe that. The construction of these historic rock walls is really a sight to be seen. So if you have the opportunity to go up and look at the engineering of these rock walls and the conditions that they had to construct these rock walls way back then is really something. This abutment section in particular is just 100 feet long, and it's tied into what we call the abutments that are remaining of that historic rock wall. A historic landslide, and we don't know exactly when this occurred, came through that rock wall section and blew out a portion of that rock wall. And then the flume was reconstructed as an elevated wooden flume that spans that section and ties into the abutments of the historic rock wall. Staff, internal staff, our colleagues in the operations side assisted us with implementing stability measures on this abutment section in 2014, and you'll see some photos of that in a moment. Next slide, please. So Flume 45 is located just west of the town of Riverton, just west of the turnoff to Wrights Lake Road. And one of the things I wanted to point out here is it's located just above Highway 50. There's some sections of the flume where the American River is actually on the south side, so it's kind of that buffer in between the flume sections and Highway 50. This is a consideration that we take into account when we're looking at replacing our flume sections, because if a flume were to fail, the first impact would be Highway 50 as opposed to the American River. Next slide, please. So this is a photograph of this section of Flume 45. So this portion right here is actually the abutment section, the darker colored wood. This upstream section here is section 1, and this downstream section here is section 3. This project will include replacing about 25 feet upstream of section 1 and about 50 feet downstream of section 3. So we're trying to tie into some stabilized portions of that rock wall area. We will also be refurbishing this road to provide construction access on the downstream side of this flume. So we'll construct a box culvert so we can get construction equipment over the flume and working on the opposite side that you see here. Next slide, please. So this is a photograph looking downstream of our flume from section 1 towards section 3. And you can see here, this is a portion of the abutment rock wall. And what I want to point out here is these are the columns and bases and braces that our crews installed in 2014. So I think I mentioned to the board, starting about 8 years ago, we started to do a full condition assessment on all the components of our delivery system. So we have canals, flumes, tunnels, and siphons in our delivery system. It's on a 5-year rotation to do a detailed site inspection and analysis on all of the components of that project. We often find facilities that we're concerned about, but we don't have necessarily the funding or the time to get to them immediately and replace them. So often what we'll do is we'll work with our subject matter experts and our internal staff to provide mitigation measures that we can construct to extend the life of that facility. So this is what we did here by implementing these structural improvements in 2014. We also did this with Flume 30 to extend the life of that facility as well in the past. Yeah, next slide, thanks. So this is another picture looking now upstream from section 3 going up. You've got a better view of the rock wall abutment here. And if you'll notice, this rock wall, since the time staff installed these columns and braces, this rock wall has actually pushed out and moved laterally outward towards this last column here. So we keep an eye on this movement, but it is concerning that there's still some earth movement going in an outward direction from section 3 to the downstream side or downsloping side. Next slide. This is just a,
Let me ask, you already expressed our concerns with being upslope from Highway 50, and if that historic rock wall is shifting, the result will be all of those rocks will fall down the cliff toward Highway 50 and could possibly end up on the roadway?
the release of water is probably the bigger concern.
Okay.
Yeah, so when we had the failure at Flume 10, that impact was actually, it went to the river before it impacted, well, it didn't impact Highway 50, but the river acts as a buffer when it's
Right.
on the south side of Highway 50.
About how far away is the flume from
Oh, I would have to measure it out, Director Day, but it's several hundred feet. Yeah. Right. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of trees and other items that would, I think, arrest the rock fall going down slope. Yeah. So this picture here is just more of an internal view of the actual abutment section. You could see that the underground here is really not stabilized earth whatsoever. This is the old historic construction, the 1948 construction, and this exterior columns and beams here are what our crews constructed in 2014. Next slide, please. This section is also part of the project. So the project includes removing about 20 large trees on the downstream side of the flume, but also it includes some roadway improvements here. But what I wanted to point out, it's a little hard to see with vegetation, is this area right here. These are actually steel I-beams that PG&E installed. We're not quite sure when. And there's a cable that you can see right here. And there's cables that extend this way, and they tie into a pretty large concrete structure that's underground just on the other side of the road. And the only thing that we can infer is that PG&E installed this structure to arrest the movement of that hillside from continuing to push on Section 3. So again, Section 3 is slated for design this summer and construction within our current CIP. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the scope of work for this project includes repair of the spur road, which you saw pictures of, and providing construction access for this project. It will remove 75 feet of historic rock wall, so 25 feet into Section 1 and 50 feet into Section 3. We also have provisions to stabilize up to 15 feet of those, end sections of the rock wall if we need to. We will be excavating that unsuitable material, which is on that really steep downslope side. We will probably need to excavate down 15 to 20 feet in some areas, so there's quite a bit of material that needs to be removed. Build that back up with engineered fill, and then construct our MSE wall, which will be about 200 feet long and in some areas up to 25 feet high. We will then construct a concrete U-shaped canal and a 40-foot box culvert, again, which will provide that construction access on the down sloping side for our construction crews. Next slide, please, Allison. So environmental review, I just want to make sure I'm touching everything. On this project, the district must comply with the California Environmental Quality Act, otherwise known as CEQA. Staff has determined that this project is categorically exempt from CEQA because this is a replacement of an existing facility. If the board approves the proposed project, staff will file a notice of an exemption, NOE, with the El Dorado County Recorder Clerk's Office and post the NOE on the district's website. Next slide, please.
Are there any special requirements for deconstructing the historic wall, as far as like from a my mind's blanking out, but you know what I mean, as far as the historic artifacts?
Yeah, so we're specifically tied into only able to remove that 75 feet of the historic rock wall, and then we can only sort of stabilize and refurbish up to 15 feet. So during construction, that's going to be the difficult portion of this project, is not only working on that downsloping side, but making sure that that rock wall is stabilized and intact during the course of construction.
Right. Yeah. Are they going to look for any old gold mining stuff?
We'll let you know if we find anything.
Yeah, we'll bring it in here. Sure you
Yeah. So on construction, I wanted to let the board know that we pre-qualify everything that we do on Project 184. We also pre-qualify contractors for all of our risky projects, and sometimes this even includes pipeline projects. We currently have 5 pre-qualified contractors on our list for projects associated with Project 184 through about 2024 on our CIP. We will reopen that process about every 2 to 3 years, so we allow additional contractors to join that pool of pre-qualified contractors. This has really helped us to assure that we have experienced contractors that can do this work and can work in those conditions that we find ourselves in, during the fall and winter upcountry. So we were really pleased to see that 3 of the 5 that we have pre-qualified submitted bids on this project. As you can see, the top 2 were incredibly close. And we like to see this. This assures us that we have done a good job in the design and there's no, nuances that are surprises within the bid documents themselves. The lowest responsible bidder is Sierra Mountain Construction Incorporated with a bid of $2,280,830. And I also wanted to note that we revised the engineer's estimate recently for this project because of the material escalation costs and labor escalation costs that we have been seeing on these construction projects. Next slide, please.
So what was the engineering estimate?
2.4.
2.4 million. Yeah. Construction engineering service, do you have, construction engineering services, this will be awarded to MGE Engineering, who again is the designer of record on this project. They will be responding to RFIs associated with their design and reviewing submittals on the project. They will be assisting the district with field clarifications and change order review. We, though, as staff, have the ultimate say with respect to change orders on this project. And also, they will be helping us comply with the quality inspection program, which is a requirement by FERC. These projects, from the geotechnical report to the QSIP to approval of the final design, all have to be approved by FERC before we can bring this project to you for consideration. These projects take about 3 years from start to the time we can actually bring the project to you for consideration of construction. So there's a lot of effort that go into designing these projects. So we negotiated a single source contract of $317,773, and again, staff will be keeping a close eye on their expenditures of time for these services. And they really supplement our internal inspection. We always have an internal inspector assigned to these projects as well, and because they're just constructed in a very short time frame for very long days, sometimes 24-hour days, this project is not anticipated to be a 24-hour day project, though. We really need that supplement of inspection to our internal staff. Next slide, please. So cost breakdown, just a summary. The construction contract is just over or just under $2.3 million. Construction engineering services is about $317,000. Capitalized labor, which includes project management, engineering, construction management for engineering, inspection, environmental support staff is $225,000. And we're asking for a contingency of just over $282,000 for a total project cost of just over $3.1 million. You've heard this from us before, but I wanted to give you some actuals on the escalation of steel and concrete and labor. The Engineering News Record publishes a quarterly cost report, and we like to take a look at these and see what has happened with material prices. But they published their first quarter cost report in 2022, and they state that the 20-city average yearly price for steel rose 37% by the end of 2021, and the overall materials cost index had an increase of 31%. And the building cost index was 13.1%, which is also a reflection of labor. So I just wanted to give you some actuals that we have seen a huge increase in materials costs. In the last, I think, 4 or 6 months, we've actually rejected 3 bids, which is more that we have rejected in this time frame than we have previously, due to the costs that we received have been so much higher than the engineer's estimate. So I just wanted to let you know that we just don't take these projects and bring them to you for your consideration to approve. But if they're greatly over the engineer's estimate, we will reject all bids and try to generate some additional interest and rebid the project. Next slide. So board options. Option 1 is to award a contract to Sierra Mountain Construction Incorporated in the not-to-exceed amount of $2,280,830 for construction of the Flume 45 abutment replacement project, and authorize additional funding of $225,000 for capitalized labor, $317,773 for construction engineering services, and $282,360 in contingency, for a total funding request of $3,105,963 for the Flume 45 abutment replacement project, project number 17025001. Option 2 is to take other action as directed by the board, and option 3 is to take no action.
I'll move one, but I have a couple of questions.
I'll second.
Been motioned and seconded to approve this item. Questions?
Elizabeth, in your guesstimate, how long will the project take to shut the flume down?
How long will a
Gonna
project,
be done during the outage.
this particular project?
Yeah.
Yes, it can be. It's, yeah, it's anticipated to start, I think, mid-October and be complete. Typically, we like to aim for mid-December, so I can't remember the exact amount of days that we have in the construction contract. But this project isn't as long as some of the other projects that we've had to deal with. It's really just taking that unsuited material out and building up the engineered field that's going to take, the most amount of time.
Okay, the other thing is, and you may not be able to answer this, but do you anticipate any pushback from the historical folks about destruction of this wall, 75 feet of wall?
No, I do not, and I'll let Brian Deason respond to that particular question.
Thank you, Director Osborne. Brian Deason, Environmental Resources Supervisor for the district. For this project, we prepared a finding of effect, which is essentially an evaluation of the potential effects to the rock wall. As a part of that effort, we reach out to historical societies, we coordinate with the Forest Service in order to seek any comment. And so that finding of effect was approved by the Forest Service under an agreement they have with the State Historic Preservation Officer.
Okay, so we're good to
We're
go.
good.
Okay, thanks.
That's another way to say it, I suppose.
Director Veerkamp.
Yeah, Elizabeth and Brian, for $54,000, and I really appreciate the pre-qualified, but the familiarity of Siblin and Reed on working on our flumes, working in El Dorado County, especially in this critical area, which they're very familiar with. The local benefit of most of them are employees here, or their employees live in El Dorado County, and their bid is still under engineered estimate. I just don't know if the other board members have any interest in going that direction or not. I know we're supposed to go with the lowest engineer or estimate or bid, but it's so close.
Tell us a little bit about Sierra.
Yeah,
The only thing I know about Sierra is they did do the Town Center Force Main Phase 3 project for us. Liz Carrington was the project manager on that project, and she had told me that they did just great. They did not submit any claims or major change orders on the project. They worked really well with the district. So all in all, they've done good work for us. And, they went through the pre-qualification process. We require that they submit experience, and we check their references. I think we check up to 5 references, and that is an independent check by the district staff. So, and we also check their safety records and financials. They pass that pre-qualification process, so they are qualified to do this work. And they've done work for, our partner at Merced Irrigation District.
Where are they out of?
Sonora.
Thank you. Did you want to address a little bit of the?
Thank you.
Sorry.
No, this is a very good question. I'm glad you asked it. Certainly, from a management standpoint, it is so important. Having the right contractor for a job is so important, and so I understand why you asked that question and why we always like to get, especially when we've had a contractor like SRC that's done so much good work for the district in the past. This was a very close, as you indicated, bid, but the provisions, statutory provisions that apply in this particular instance to the award of this contract require the district to award it to the lowest responsive bidder. And because we pre-qualified this contractor, we made a determination that the contractor was responsible and qualified to do the work. And because they came in low, they're the one. So as Elizabeth indicated, in circumstances like this, when we review bids and they're very, very close and there may be other extenuating circumstances such as the quality and of prior projects, nothing requires us to award the contract. We could decide that it's in our interest to reject all of the bids and to rebid it. But there's been no indication from our engineering staff that would be warranted in this circumstance, and it often comes with its own set of challenges and issues when we do that, including the extending of time and so forth. So
We did speak with Paul Harlow at SRC, and they are very disappointed to be so close and not, be the low bid, so.
Yeah, I just always have my concerns, especially projects such as this with,
I think it's advisable, excuse me. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I had the privilege of touring part of the current construction of the flumes and talking to the project manager on the ground from Seaborn Reed, and he was very dedicated to the project. They've done a wonderful job for us, but he said, dang, I think he was responsible for a lot of that estimate. And he said, darn, I missed it by $50,000. So I think that comment just says the competitive bidding process is good because it doesn't mean that because a contractor's done a great job for us, they can add a little more or estimate a little high. It keeps them on their toes. So I think this is actually a good thing.
Okay, now Director Osborne.
Dr. Osborne,
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a neurosurgeon, but no, I just echo exactly what you're saying. I think it keeps the pencil sharper, okay?
Okay, any other comments? I will have one comment. My biggest concerns is we did the pre-qualification, we're following our policies and our regulations, and I have actually seen that if you deliver it to another person who's a higher bid, we don't want to set ourselves up having to have attorneys come in. And quite frankly, I do understand Director Dwyer and I both talked to the Siebold guy, and he did say the same thing. He just admitted, he says, I just missed it by 50,000. So, that's the game. To address Director Veerkamp's concern, unless we set a policy and unless there's a requirement in state law says that we're supposed to give jobs only to people who live in our county, that can't be established. So
and I wasn't saying that.
I understand.
There's an economic benefit.
I understand the economic benefit too.
Ask about security paving right now and the project. Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait a minute.
I'm sorry, it's on.
Speak.
Anyway, go ahead, Lori.
No, it's just that we have to be concerned. And there's other policies, and I absolutely agree with you on the economic benefit of having employees living and spending their money and their wages in El Dorado County, but that's not the way the state operates and the way we operate with grant fundings and anything else. So we have to follow the rules. All right, any other comments?
They'll probably spend money on motels, restaurants, and adult beverage shops anyway, so.
Will you advance the next slide? I'm sorry, I forgot, our recommendation is option 1.
Yes, it is. And it's been moved and seconded for option 1. Any comments from the public?
President Anzini, I don't see any comments from the public.
Okay, thank you. Here's our opportunity to vote.
Divisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, voting aye, motion carries unanimously.
All right.
Hopefully Sierra folks weren't listening in and having a heart attack.
No, they weren't. Right. So, thank you very much for, that's the end of our action items. No, which one was it? Oh, okay, number 13. I just checked it off early. Sorry. Item number 13, operations. He's here on time. Have those electric trucks yet?
Not yet. It's coming. Definitely coming.
Oh, look, we already got green light.
All right. Okay. Good morning. I'm Greg Royal. I'm the Fleet and Building Maintenance Supervisor. We're coming here today to consider awarding a contract to own equipment in the not-to-exceed amount of $1,139,000, or $39,726, for the purchase of two 21I combination sewer cleaner vacuum trucks. Next, please. This here is a picture, basic picture of what we're looking to purchase, and kind of represents where we're headed. During this, we're looking for one large truck like this, as well as a truck that's just a two-axle truck for the tighter situations that we run into, especially in El Dorado Hills. Less weight, can get around in the neighborhoods a little bit easier than the big trucks. We currently have the same setup, big truck and a smaller truck that we're looking to replace.
You just answered the question I was going to ask.
Yep, it's one, yep, same, as you can see here in this picture, that's our smaller looking truck there in the picture. The reason we're coming to the board early right here is the two vacuum trucks we have are past their life cycle. We've been struggling to keep them on the road as it is. We've had a major increase in downtime and struggling to get the parts, and as well as because they're older trucks, right now we run back-ons. We're having to special order everything that breaks on those trucks, which is a 2-3 week downtime every single time that we do it. Which is kind of what it explains here. But every time we have to order parts, that's a truck and a crew down. And so we're looking to eliminate that issue that we're running into right now.
Greg,
Next
now,
slide.
we do have other vacuum trucks, isn't that correct?
We have 3 of them out of the collection side.
Right.
And then again, any given time, especially with the issues we're hitting with these trucks, we could have 2 down with only 1 on the road, and that's 2 crews sitting there. waiting.
One of them's fairly new, right?
The third truck, it's newer. It's not fairly new. The 2 that we just recently purchased are on our construction side,
Okay,
on our water division.
Okay, that's
so
what
this
I'm
is for
thinking
the
of.
sewer side.
okay.
Can they cross-purpose?
We don't like to, but they have in the past, especially in emergencies, helped each other out. So
I think that's what Director Day was
Okay, yeah, yeah.
asking. We did approve a few months ago the purchase of
the 2 vectors.
the 2 for the water distribution side.
And I was hoping, John, you can probably fill in on that of why you need it.
Yes.
Which they
Thank
don't
you.
even
You don't
have.
want to share.
Yeah, they don't even have that on those trucks, actually, the front router hose, so, yep. So this is a background. Our collection staff, approximately 647 miles of pipeline and 60 lift stations that they maintain. Over 450,000 feet of pipeline must be cleaned annually to meet sanitary sewer management plans. It's a goal of a 6-year cycle. These vacuum trucks are their primary tool every day. They have to leave the yard, or else, like I said, we have crews down and we get further and further behind on their goals. They depend on them every day to work, and sometimes that's not a reality with the way these trucks are right now. As well as one of the trucks we're actually replacing and it has a bad transmission right now. And so by not replacing it, we kind of push the hand on it right now instead of spending money the wrong way in repairing a truck that's realistically shouldn't even be there anymore. So, going with obviously the two trucks we just purchased through Vactor, we kind of did all the research before then to try to figure our best deal and the best truck for getting parts and service and everything else. We've reached out everywhere, as well as our own two that we've had have worked out great. We've had minimal issues, and anything we do have with the service has been amazing. And so that's ultimately a big thing of why we're pushing to go continue with Vactor instead of Vacon. Yep. Next slide, please. So this is our efficiency. The combination sewer cleaner vacuum trucks are essential for the operation and maintenance, the O&M, and the sanitary sewer collection systems. Once again, the trucks are used every day. They're kind of their lifeline down there for the collections, as well as we use them, especially in emergencies. They have to be able to start up and go if we need them. So right now, with trucks going down and having it, we've been having to rent vehicles. And right here, we're looking at $13,000 a month to rent a full combination truck each time one of them's out for an extended amount of time. The new trucks, they are outfitted with, the latest and greatest. They have all the safety, cameras, safety shutoffs, everything new that you can get on it. That will help the crews in the field with being efficient and safe. These trucks as well, both trucks that we're looking to get rid of are both dual engine trucks. So they have an engine, the main truck engine, as well as a auxiliary engine to run all the pumps and the hydraulics. They have actually cut down to just doing a single engine and running all the pumps and everything off the transfer case, which eliminates a lot of servicing, fuel costs. It cuts everything down with just running the single engine, which also helps us, being CARB compliant and everything else. So these trucks are CARB compliant, and they will be good for as long as California will allow.
2 weeks?
Which could be, but as of right now, they are good trucks to buy. So next, please. This is a summary of the pricing. So they're basically the same trucks, just one's a 12-yard truck and one's a 2-yard. So even with us ordering right now, with Vactor, they're going and they're taking a truck that is the larger 3-axle truck, and they're lopping it off and building us a truck as we speak. Even if we didn't buy it, they said they're willing to just go for it, and they'll sell it if we don't. So that's just the basic barely price difference is the sizing of the trucks. But they're the exact same, identical. Parts are all exactly the same across the board, so easy for servicing and for the operator use. So this would be funded by the 2022 Vehicle Replacement CIP. These vehicles were actually included later in the CIP. So what we're doing, because of the delays with the dump trucks we've previously ordered, they're on the list and ordered, but the money's sitting there. So what we're doing, we're trying to transfer money around because we can get these trucks within the next 3 months on the ground working. And so that's a huge factor of why we're trying to do it, to get whatever trucks we can put in the field as fast as we can.
I was blown away by the build delay for some of the other
Yeah.
trucks. I mean, I know they're unique, and they're not mass produced, but
Right.
2024, 2025,
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah, it's been a chess game, as trying to get everything we can as fast as we can.
Yeah.
And with us being in the line there, this will allow us to get 2 trucks that are our lifeline and get them put into service as fast as possible. So, the bottom one there, I mean, going with Vactor, we are saving $51,310 for competitive bids. We had 4 bids total, truck for truck, everything we wanted, and we ended up coming up with $50,000 or $51,000 less than what Vactor would for the same stuff we wanted. So, and that's ultimately why we're pushing for Vactor again. So, next slide, please. We're continuing to piggyback off of using Sourcewell contract. This is what we use to make sure we get the best price for our product. Next. We're looking, option one, to award a contract to Owen Equipment in the not-to-exceed amount of $1,139,726 for the purchase of two 2100i combination sewer cleaner vacuum trucks.
I'll move option one.
Second.
It's been moved by Director Day and seconded by Director Veerkamp to approve this item. Any comments from the public? Any discussion from the board?
President Anzini, there does not appear to be any public comment at this time.
Okay, so let's go ahead and vote.
Divisions 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 voting aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. So this completes the action items on our agenda. We're going to move on to review of assignments. Any items that board members wish to put on the list? Or questions? Looks like it's a clean bill of health here.
But I'd encourage you just to look at the tentatively scheduled items for the future meetings. If you have any questions, please don't
Right.
hesitate to give me a buzz.
Okay. Motion for adjournment?
This meeting's
Okay.
way too short. I'm gonna have to go home and do honeydew projects.
I can delay this only just a little bit.